Today I'm just going to show you the simple method of combining two photos into a montage. I'm going to go into the Putting It All Together folder, download change meme _ a student _ p #.psd. When you click on it, it opens up this window. Click on these three dots in the top right corner and select Open in New Window. When this document comes up, click the Download button. It should show up over here in the lower left corner. So I'm going to click on this little up arrow and select Open. That should launch Photoshop. I've already got Photoshop open, so it just opened up the document. The next thing I'm going to do is open up my two photos. So I'm going to select File, Open. I've saved them to the desktop. Since they're not here, it would appear that I haven't downloaded them yet. So I'm going to cancel this. Hold my thumb on the Command key and tap the Tab key to go to my Google Drive. Then I'm going to download them. I'm going to click on this stone skipping image by holding the Control key down and clicking on it and selecting Download. Then I'm going to do the same thing for this image of Mother Teresa. And you can do the same thing down here. If I click Open, it should open it in Photoshop. Currently it has JPEGs set to open it in preview, so I can't do that. I'm going to close this, go back down to this arrow, and select Show in Finder. Since I put it in the Downloads folder, I'm going to hold the Control key down on the image, click on it, and select Open with Adobe Photoshop. Then I'm going to hold my thumb on the Command key and tap to get to the Finder again, and do the same thing with the stone skip. Open with Adobe Photoshop. I'm holding the Control key down when I do this. So now I've got my two images. These tabs at the top of this window show the three files that are open in Photoshop. So I'm going to copy and paste these two images into this one. To select everything on the screen, hold the Command key down and tap the letter A. That stands for Select All. Copy it by holding the Command key down and tapping the letter C. Go to my original document. Pasting is Command V. This image appears to not be big enough, but for our purposes we're going to go ahead and let it go because it may work. Go to the stone skip. Select All, Command A, copy, Command C, click on the original, Command V. I'm holding the Command key down and tapping the minus key up at the top of the keyboard to reduce the size of the screen a bit. And then I'm going to size these two images to fit in this area. I'm going to use the Transform tool by holding the Command key down and tapping the letter T. This will show me the size of this image on this layer. Remember to always hold the Shift key down when you reduce images. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down and reduce this down to fit halfway into the window like this. And then while I still have it selected, I'm going to use the cursor keys, which are the arrow keys on your keyboard, to move it over to the left. And then I'm going to double click the image to set it in place. Since this image is a lot smaller and it's currently behind this one, I'm simply going to click on it and move it up like this until you see this line right here at the top of here. And now it puts this image in the front. I'm going to do the same thing, making sure that I have the image selected. Command T, holding the Shift key down, and I'm going to stretch this image up to fit in the window. This image may or may not work. I might need a photo with more of her head in here. We'll have to wait and see in just a moment. Again, I'm using the cursor keys to move the picture to the left so that I can see more of her face. And then I'm going to double click to set it in place. So here's where the fun part comes in, I think. Click on the image. Down at the bottom of your layers palette, there's a little rectangle with a hole in it. This is going to create a layer mask. If you notice, if you roll over something and leave your cursor there for a minute, it'll actually tell you what the application or tool will do. So again, these are all the various things that you can do, but I want this one because it's a layer mask. You'll notice that this white window just popped up right next to Mother Teresa's face. If I click here to erase, using the eraser tool over here, I'm increasing the size by tapping the bracket tool, which is right next to the letter P. So watch what happens to the image over here when I erase this. Notice how the image went away here? I don't want to do that. Holding the Command key down and tapping the letter Z to undo that. The other thing I'm going to do, before I get too far into this, is I'm going to change the tool that's erasing to this gray one, which will give me a soft edge. So instead of having the frame around the photo, I want the frame around the mask. And here's why. I'm going to brush this out so that you can see some of her face and the skipping stone behind her. If you'll notice, this black mark showed up over here. That's because I erased from the layer mask and not from the photo. To bring this image back, if I click this angled arrow, it puts the black in the front and the white in the back, so that now when I erase, it's going to bring back a portion of Mother Teresa's face. So again, I'm going to take a little more off so you can see the skipping stone. Click this angled arrow, and I'm going to increase the size of this brush even more because I want a very soft edge right here. Again, I'm just tapping the right bracket, which is 2 keys over from the letter P, to make a really large brush. The larger the brush, the softer the edge. So I'm going to soften it up really, just barely soften it up here. Notice how you can see this line in her face? That's because the edge of this photo is right here. So again, I'm going to reverse this, and this time I'm going to make a smaller brush by hitting the left bracket and then bringing her face back to get rid of that line. I'm going to save the file, save as, leave change meme on there, put your first initial and last name on here, and then put the period number. I'm going to use my name, and then leave it as a PSD for now, and put it on the desktop so that you can find it easily. Save that, quit Photoshop, add your photo back into your folder from the desktop. As soon as it's done uploading, delete this one by clicking one time on it and hitting Command Delete on the keyboard. And then make sure to log out of Google Classroom. And that's all you probably will have time to do today, because today is Tuesday, which is a short day.